Hello everyone, I'm Jane and welcome to this second video. I'm really excited because actually this is the first one dedicated to a world topic, and I want to be really thankful with all of you for all the love and support you showed me after I announced these new channels. I really hope that starting now with the first content you'll appreciate what I'm trying to do, and I really hope that you'll find this kind of content interesting. So the first topic I want to speak about is how role-playing is important for trans people. I try to explain this topic a lot of times, and usually people are a bit confused about this because they struggle at understanding how the gaming dimension, can actually help you in the real life. But even psychologists use the role-playing strategy a lot, know how actually these are powerful instruments to understand not only something about yourself in these kind of situations, but in general, video games and especially role-playing games are really helpful uh, in your ordinary life. It helps you to understand a lot of things about yourself. Actually, there are more ways to actually role-play. There are more kind of role-playing games, usually called RPGs. And the most traditional one is the one with people all in the same room playing traditional role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons, where they have to create a character and then living a story all together. I unfortunately never played a game like this, but I read stories and I can really easily understand why this is an amazing experience, and honestly I would like to live one of these now. Actually, there are more reasons behind that. The first one, in my opinion, is creating the character. When you create a character, you actually put a lot about yourself. You can choose to put a lot about yourself because obviously you can also choose to go for the opposite direction, trying to live another kind of role. That's helpful too for in other kind of situations. But usually a trans person wants to go for the gender identity they feel like it's their own gender identity. They want to experiment with that. So in my case, it would be going for a female character, and for a F2M, it could be going for a male character. It's a really powerful way to start moving the first step because you're going to play the role of the character you want to be. You are going to create the likeness of the character in the way you would like to look like, and you are going to create this character in the way you would like to be. Okay. This is a really important first step because actually it's how the other players will look at you during the world story. And this is the second step, probably the most important one, because it's the moment where you play that role, where you start to live that role, where you start to be that character, and where you are put in a situation that has some social influences, because you are going to take choices with the other players. Your choices will have an effect on other players, and the other players' choices will have an effect on you. But especially, you're going to speak with them, to interact with them, and they are going to interact with you in the way you introduce yourself. So, in my case, if I introduce myself as a woman, because I'm a transgender woman, they'll use the pronouns I feel more comfortable with. They'll start to use she, her. They'll speak with me with the name I've chosen. And these are powerful feelings for a transgender person who's starting to live the first social experience. in the gender identity that fits them more, in their real gender identity. And you cannot imagine how better you can feel in a situation like this. So, the second way you can role play actually today is thanks to video games. Video games are really powerful instruments as well. This can be safer than traditional role-playing experience. Why? Because even if you are, we are speaking about people who are moving the first steps in their transition journey. When you play with your friends, you can still be a bit scared of being judged and everything. So, in some situation, even the traditional role-playing experience can be a bit scary if you want to go for your gender identity, the gender identity you are experimenting with, because the word experimenting is really important for us, especially during the first steps. We have to start moving steps and know to understand when and how we feel comfortable at doing some things, because we have to be safe when we choose to come out, when we choose to move some steps that actually start showing our real self to the world. But we have to be safe with ourselves, we have to be comfortable with ourselves. So a traditional role-playing experience is really powerful, but I can understand that some situations can be scary. It depends by your friends, how welcoming they are, how you feel good with them. But thanks God, there are other instruments that can be a sort of early step before the traditional role-playing experience, or an alternative to it. And this is video games. There are two kinds of role-playing experience you can have with video games. The first one is with single-player RPGs. There are a ton of role-playing games around. There are a ton of role-playing games that are going to be released. And usually, every time you can create your own character, you can live a sort of experience like this. You'll interact with the CPU, so an artificial intelligence that will speak with your character, will interact with your character in the way you introduce it to the system. So if you created a female character, nowadays there are some games that allow you to even create a full transgender character. Some games even a no-binary character. This is amazing. I really hope that the next games will keep moving to this direction. So this is a first safe way to start seeing this new world. I'm still speaking about person who are starting with their transition journey. Actually, it allows you to start understanding these things, and it's really nice. It's really cool. It's the way everyone, or at least a lot of us, actually started this kind of life-changing experience. The second way is with multiplayer online games. There are some games that allow you to create your character, and this character will be the way you interact with the world of the game, so with the classic enemies that can be moved by the CPU or other players, but also to speak and relate with other characters. And this is probably the next step, or are sort of a mix between the classic traditional RPG experience and the single player RPG experience, because they look at your character, they actually can't look behind the screen. So if you are not comfortable at showing your face, at introducing who you are. You can just be your character in the game, and the other people will relate with your character as you introduce yourself. There is no other way for that. So you feel like you're in a social context, but you're doing it in a safe way with your character, with your extension. Your character is not just a character, it's an extension of your personality. My role-playing experience, not considering the video games, the one that actually allowed me to do the definitive step was by impersonating Jane Romero, a character of Dead by Daylight, in social medias. That was really powerful because for the first time I interacted with other people in a social media, so a place where we actually spend a lot of our free time, but being a full female. Of course, they knew that on the other side of the screen there was no Jane Romero, but they started with me. They started speaking with me as I was her, using female pronouns, and looking at me as a woman. And actually, being a woman in a social context with other people, just chatting and stuff like this, was really powerful for me. It was a safe way to start understanding this, and it was a way that actually helped me a lot. So there are a ton of ways to actually roleplay, even going to the theater or to a theater course, studying theater. You know, even role-playing at the theater is a nice way to start dealing with this. And it's a kind of experience that if you are new with this, if you are start dealing with your gender identity, I highly suggest to all of you, because I repeat, it's really powerful. It's the first and safer way to start understanding something more about yourself, to start experimenting. Remember, experimenting is really important. It's a powerful instrument, and it's the way that actually allows you to understand if you're ready to move the next step or if you prefer to still take time. Don't underestimate this thing. It's a personal suggestion by me, and I really hope that this can be helpful for you. Actually, you know, a lot of people nowadays think that internet video games are alienating our society, are like pushing people far away from being their real selves to deal more with the digital identities. But I don't think it's totally true, because actually, starting with my digital identity in my situation, I understood who I really am, and I'm ready now to be myself in society, in the real society. Let's call it real society. So don't try to always think with your head. Try to put yourself in the situation to understand these kind of topics, and do like me. Read other people's stories. I'm here to share my story. I'm here to share my point of view about these topics. So I really hope that my experience will be helpful for you, but don't just stop at me. Look at every kind of similar topic about this, and then live the experience by yourself. And if you want, you can share it with other people to, you know, start creating this sort of safe place and safe stories for the next ones that will come. This is more or less my full goal with this channel. I think it's everything for today. I spoke a lot, I didn't expect it, but I really hope that it was still interesting for you. I'll see you next time with another topic. I hope it will be interesting as well. I love you guys. See you next time.